Hi everyone, Paul here. This is not a BTR build session. We really wanted to focus on a new product. We've got our new HyperDrive front drive setup. Wanted to go over a few points. Really just we're excited about it. Want to show you guys more in-depth video of what it looks like and what to expect over what we did at C10 Nationals. So this is what we call our manifold. The water pump we have already installed there. It is a LT1 GM style water pump. Goes here, we have a gasket that comes with it, bolted in the front. Then our thermostat is really nice. Thermostat housing is clockable, and the thermostat inside is clockable, so it keeps that weep hole at 12 o'clock position like it should be. This is AC mounting area, the tensioner mounting area, power steering, and then our alternator. So I want to go over a few of the components as well. One thing to point out before I move on, all of the bolts are, for the most part, that hold the manifold are on, and they're black. So again, we kind of call it true black design, and that's one of those reasons why. First thing I want to look at is our power steering pump. This is the upgradable billet pulley. The one thing to point out, or there's several things we'll point out, but the main thing is this is a extremely high quality power steering pump. These are everywhere on the market. Most people are probably super familiar with these. Our pulley is neat because the rear of the pulley is marked rear. So that's very important. The other thing, when you install this thing, you want to make sure that it's completely flush with the snout of the pump. So again, the rear of the pump is marked rear or towards the pump, and then the front of it needs to be flush with the snout of the pump. The other cool feature is our BTR logo on the lid there. This reservoir is baffled, so really nice piece there. There is a fitting that's kind of proprietary to our setup here. It wants to mount like about right here, and it needs to, there's a note in the instructions, it needs to be pretty close to this reservoir when it's mounted. So, and you'll see why later. The next piece we'll go over is our black alternator. US sourced part here, very high quality, 150 amp alternator, so this thing should run just about anything you could throw at it. The pulleys are all factory size, so they're calibrated to not overspin with higher RPM situation, but also at idle they should put out plenty for any of your EFI, sound systems, airbags, fuel pumps, any of that kind of stuff. This alternator should handle it. What's nice about this is it does have that billet dress up pulley there, and then it has this smooth transition here in one of the mounting points, and you'll see that. We'll focus on that here when we get everything mounted up. And next is the AC compressor. Pretty basic deal. Again, probably looks pretty familiar for most people if you've messed with any kind of accessory drive type setups. Again, this one has our upgradable billet pulley, this nice billet manifold that has the BTR logo there. I believe this is 10 AN and then 8 AN headed out to your AC lines. Two mounting points, and again, black bolts, single wire hookup, so it makes everything simple. Next thing is our tensioner. Again, black tensioner, nice piece there. What's really fun about this is once you get the belt on, there's this dress-up piece that mounts here that, again, just makes everything true black, nice. Can't really go wrong. Comes with a belt, pretty simple here. And then instructions, when you open the box, there'll be something similar like this for a QR code for the instructions. Next, we'll get to putting this on. We'll want to show a few other points as we install all this, but we'll get right to that. All right, so we'll get to a quick overview of what this kit looks like installed on an engine. Not going to be able to cover every little point. Our instructions are top quality. Our engineer that put those together did a really, really good job. So no doubt you guys can be able to handle this, but the next thing, first step, is to put the balancer on. We've obviously already removed ours and installed the, again, optional upgraded SFI rated ATI balancer. So that's installed. The next piece is a really nice BTR lower damper gear, crank gear, some people call it. Again, billet piece, BTR logo there, part number in it, locates on the front of the ATI damper, so we'll get to putting that on really quick. And again, you can see how it located there pretty nicely. It is a 12-point, 10mm socket to install that. Now, we will grab the tool here, sorry. We will go ahead and run that up. All right. Next will be the water manifold with water pump and thermostat. Instructions I say that, kind of assemble it, put it up there. Of course, you can kind of install that there first. It just depends on your situation, but I would go ahead and kind of assemble it here on your workbench so it's a little easier to install in the engine. So, go. And I do have the gaskets there, and what I did was just install the gasket onto the bolts lightly so that you could then run it all up. Again, kind of your preference on how you want to do that. Some people glue the gaskets to the block. Okay, we'll finish running this down really quick. Now there is a few different length bolts that go into this. I believe there's some 95mm length for all of the long ones. So it's this one, this one, this one, and then this lower one here. And there's an 85mm bolt, so it's just a smidge shorter. Still the same size and dimension bolt, but again, a smidge shorter. And then this short one here up top. So on the driver's side, there are some different length bolts that hold the balancer and everything on. All right, so that said, next step would be the AC compressor. Now this is a cool feature because you can kind of go ahead and install one of the bolts on the AC compressor because it slides in here and then bolts through it here. These two bolts are an optional setup for later. Say someone doesn't want to run AC, we can machine this off and there's a tensioner that goes here. So again, cool feature there. And then also, it'll also be offered without power steering as well. So just an alternator in AC, just an alternator in power steering, or the complete kit. Now again, there's a natural finish with basic pulleys. Starts at $19.99, sorry. And then it goes up from there. You can add the billet pulleys to the natural finish manifold or front drive setup, or you can go with black. The other cool feature again is you can offer this with the SFI, or we offer this with the SFI balancer or a stock style balancer. Again, all really great quality. It's just some people plan on doing some racing, and in certain those classes, you have to have an SFI balancer. So that's where that comes in. Other than that, the stock balancer, for the most part, will take care of just about anyone else. So we'll get to putting that alternator on, that AC compressor. Again, we've already installed the manifold, but basically we need to pull this bolt out here. And then, again, that slides in there. And the bolt goes through here. So really nice piece there. Again, one wire setup, so really easy for anyone with any kind of swab, whether you're using a stock style harness or an aftermarket harness. So the next thing would be the alternator. All right. So the really cool feature of the alternator again is it molds right in to the manifold setup. That bolt started there, and then this bolt is hidden by that feature. So you can see it molds right into that, and then right there by that beautiful BTR logo. And then that bottom bolt will get ran in. Okay. All right. So next would be the power steering pump. And again, there's this cool adapter that allows for everyone to utilize this piece to run their power steering pump and their lines 6 a.m. Okay, so it's got the washers there to seal it. Pops right on. We've pre-installed our pulley for this video. You would put the pulley on after you've got the pump mounted normally, but again, if you wanted to, I suppose you could. But that's what that should look like once it's installed. Again, it's super tight to the reservoir, and then it's mounted by 3 bolts. So we'll slide this in. There's 2 tins on the back side, and then that 6mm bolt. Again, we're trying to hide all the fasteners and camouflage that so you're not focused on the fasteners, you're focused on how nice the setup is. There's a little cheater hole to get through to it. All right. It almost finishes up. The very final piece is, of course, the tensioner. It is doweled in several locations, so you really can't mess it up. So we'll pop that in. Again, really cool feature is how this billet plate mounts. I'm gonna show you how it mounts. I don't know that we're gonna put the belt on. There's very specific belt routing instructions, but I really wanted to show you this. So there is a little piece here, got a little ear on it. It locks in through the back side of this. Now you're gonna wanna put your belt on first because you're covering up your access hole to detension the tensioner. So this pops on here. And then our bolt goes through right here. And it's just that easy. So there you go. Aside from the belt, that's what it's going to look like. This is our maximum upgradable. Has all the options. HyperDrive front mount setup. Again, featuring billet pulleys, SF5 balancer, and true black design. A couple of features that come on any of the kits are the clockable thermostat, the AC compressor, alternator power steering, this molded feature here, and then again, the natural finishes do have all black bolts. nice feature there. Again, some of the natural finish can blend together. I think having those bolts there really make that option pop. Now, something to note, these kits will be offered soon a la carte, which means basically if you want a natural manifold and black accessories, you can do that, or vice versa, black manifold, natural accessories. Again, you'll be able to remove AC, power steering, and option the balancer as well. Hope you guys really enjoyed this video. Hope we really made some great points as to what sets our front drive apart. The LT options are very, very similar. It's the same manifold with some different machining. So it's really modular. Super proud of how that came out. We do have the feature machined here for the LTs, for the temperature sensor there, so you don't have to modify that. We do have a nice Boss machined here near the upper radiator hose so that you can run your steam ports clean, out of the way, nice, not gonna get tangled up in the radiator or none of that stuff. So you can run that there. The other last feature, again, that we really like is this will go on an L8T. LET blocks are just a smidge different, so it'll go on the LET or an LV3. So that market sometimes can get forgot about, and we didn't. So again, hope you liked the videos. Throw the questions in the comments if you have any other questions that I skipped over. And again, like, share, follow. Thank you.